Before you buy your first Gibson electric guitar, make sure to watch this video. So you're here obviously because you want to buy a Gibson guitar. Now, of course, we offer a variety of choices to support all playing styles, budgets, and needs. So this got me thinking, what if I was a player that was ready to add a Gibson to my collection? I needed the Gibson sound, and what is that? And also, you might be a new player and you want to see what Gibson guitar was right for you. So stick around and we'll explain what you need to look for when buying your first Gibson electric guitar. So let's go to the basics. It comes down to three things when you're buying a guitar: the look, the feel, and of course the sound. Now, I'll get to the feel later when we start talking about neck profiles, okay? But for now, let's start with the look. Off the bat, the guitar has to look physically appealing to you. Luckily, Gibson's classic body shapes and designs are super iconic and very well known. You've seen them rocked by the best on every stage across the world since the beginning of rock and roll. I mean, Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, Hendrix, Randy Rhoads, Slash, Joan Jett, too many to even mention. So it's familiar to you and it represents a staple and it represents a sound and a genre of music itself. So now the second reason, the sound. You're here because you want a humbucker guitar. When you think of a humbucker guitar, this is the definition, a Les Paul. So electric guitars are broken down into a few categories, but the most obvious that you want to look for is the pickups. You've got single coils and then you've got humbuckers. Again, maybe it's your first time here looking at our offerings, maybe your favorite band or artist uses a Les Paul, or perhaps you want to upgrade from your Epiphone, or in general, you just need to add a humbucker guitar to your tone arsenal. No problem, let's take a look at everything together. So humbucker is basically two single coil pickups, okay? And when it's wired in a specific configuration, when they're together like that, they actually cancel out the hum or the 60 cycle hum that's associated with a single coil pickup. This is crucial for applications or playing styles when you're doing a lot of gain or distortion or just overdrives in general. It really helps to keep things quiet. And because there's two pickups now together technically, it's more powerful. You've got more bass, you've got more mids, and more output. It helps in both lands here, clean and distorted tones. So now let's look at the controls. Ultimate tone shaping here. You've got two volumes, one for each pickup now, and two tones, one for each pickup. Three-way toggle switch. You can blend the pickups together or use them separately so you can carve out your own sound, okay? So there's a lot of options here just out of one guitar. And as you can see, they're in a great position right here. They're not in the way of my strumming hand. They're conveniently tucked out of the way. Sometimes with the guitar, you might hit a volume by accident or a switch with other guitars, but look how much space I've got. I'm not hitting any of these controls at all. And then with the blending, like I was saying, you've got your bridge. In the middle, I'll go ahead and turn down the bridge, or I can turn down the neck, turn down the neck, and then maybe some tone. Make sure you check out our ES Tone Controls video because I go in depth about all this stuff, and you can really check out a few cool sounds that I get in that video. Scale length. On Gibson guitars, we have a shorter scale length. What that means for all of you players out there is that it's easier to bend notes or strings. You can put bigger gauge strings on the guitar for a beefier sound and it's not gonna kill your fingers. One of the main things about learning and starting off is fatigue. Less of that equals more practice, more playing. The last plus is you can get your strings a lot lower to the fretboard. So now again, we're talking about the feel and getting into that section. You've also got 22 frets, so you've got a little extra note variety and a range there as well to add that extra little cherry on top for your solos. And of course, last but the most important, the build quality. Now, we've always approached guitar making in the non-traditional sense of mass production. These are not parts guitars. They're not bolted together, they don't just snap together. Take a look at the back here. That's a set neck that's glued into the body. You got mahogany. You got rosewood on the fretboard. You got a nice flame maple top, right? Select maple top there. Nitro lacquer, just how they used to use in the old days. I mean, you've got, premium electronics here, orange drop caps, and that binding is just a classy touch. It's very labor intensive, lends itself to having a really nice feel on the neck. You're investing in an instrument that will last beyond our lifetime. And of course, all Gibson electric guitars are made right here in Nashville, Tennessee, USA. Now be sure to head over to GTV's YouTube page and check out a series called The Process so you can really see what goes on behind the scenes making these wonderful guitars. Now before we get into the guitars, make sure you hit the like button, ring the bell, and subscribe to our channel. It'll keep you up to date on future videos. All right, the fun part, let's hear some guitars, right? Let's take a look at the greatest hits here. I'll play some quick playing samples and touch on a few differences and highlights of each model. We won't get too deep on this video. I'll be playing through our new Gibson Falcon 20 amp. Let's do it. First up, the one that started it all, the Les Paul. Inception 1952. I'm holding a 50 standard model here, okay? This is the one that you basically think of when you think of Gibson guitars. You've got a mahogany body, warm lows, resonance, really nice tone wood for that. That maple top there is gonna help you with that attack on the notes, on the high end especially. You're always gonna look for that flame there, which is another signature look for us. You got a pair of burst bucker pickups here. For the humbuckers, a 3-way toggle. Again, the 2 tones and the 2 volumes. 2 pneumatic bridge that you can fine tune there for adjustments. You got the tailpiece here, nice rosewood fingerboard. 50 style neck, so it's a little bit chunkier, but if you do feel it, it's still very comfy, especially with that binding on there. And you've got vintage deluxe tuners with the keystone buttons. Really nice guitar. This is the poster child of a Les Paul right here. And I'll go ahead and show you the next guitar, which will be the 60s, which will have a few differences as well. If you want full-on specs, you can always visit the website or check out our Les Paul buyer's guide on the channel. Let's keep going. It looks pretty much the same, right? But there's 2 things that you got to think about here. You're gonna have a different neck profile is the first important thing. So it's a slimmer neck. If you are a fan of smaller neck profiles, this is the one for you. But you still get a pair of humbuckers. These are 60s voice now, 60s burst buckers. The knobs are gonna look a little bit different. You've got reflectors here, the silver reflectors on these knobs. And then the tuners are gonna be the Grover Rotomatic tuners. Really nice tuners there, super accurate as well. This is cool. This is the blueberry burst finish. We've got a whole new line of custom colors that have come out. So if you don't want the traditional looks, you can definitely dive into that collection and find some new colors that speak to you in a different way. Now, as far as players go, anyone can really play one of these. I mean, rock, you know, blues, country, everything, R&B, soul, jazz, whatever it is, you can always benefit from a humbucker guitar because like I said earlier, your distorted tones and your high gain tones are taken care of and you benefit for the clean sounds as well. Now, there's a few models that we have that I don't have with me today, but you can definitely check out our Les Paul buyer's guide for more information on them, like the Les Paul Studio. Les Paul Studio is a basic Les Paul without all the fancy features visually. It's without the binding or the top and any of that for the studio. So it's just really bare bones and a straight ahead guitar to get the job done. And it's a little bit cheaper on the price point. There's also Les Paul Modern. You've got advanced electronics there for coil splitting, so you can get some single coil sounds and humbucker sounds from one guitar. And you've got a way slimmer neck design, hotter pickups, and locking tuners on those instruments. And then behind me over here, as you can see, is the Les Paul Modern Lite. So if you're a new player, you don't need all the bells and whistles, you just want it super stripped down. It's also slightly slimmer and lighter. Actually, it's a lot slimmer than a regular Les Paul and lighter. That might be something for you if you're just trying to dabble and, you know, get something a little bit easier and just more straight ahead, especially for younger players out there. Okay, next up, the SG, Inception 1961. So check this out. You've got a slimmer body style, okay? It's a lot lighter, slim neck, and you've got a double cutaway now for way easy access to those higher notes and upper frets there, okay? I mean, it's a flatter body as well, so it's a lot easier on just the playing in general, sitting with it. And if you're a big time strummer, big open chords, I mean, think Clapton, Tony Iommi, Derek Trucks for slide, you know, the list again goes on and on. So it's nice to see that Les Paul style guitar in a little bit easier to navigate package here, right? A little bit more stripped down. You still get the humbuckers, and you still get that mahogany body. No maple on this one, but just all mahogany all the way around with that nice rosewood fingerboard. And you've got those Keystone Deluxe Vintage tuners there. So really nice alternative there for the classic humbucker offerings. So the one I'm holding is really the poster child when you think of an SG. This is a 61. Really nice here with that cherry red finish and that pick guard there. And again, keeping things very simple to the eye here. You still get binding on that neck, which is nice. The one I was playing, the ebony one, that was a SG standard. So you're gonna have a little bit bigger neck profile, different pickups in that one, and that double pick guard. There's also this model with a Maestro vibrola. So for those of you that like a little tremolo action and a little vibrola action for chords and stuff, you've got that model in a faded finish as well if you don't like gloss nitro finishes. Sometimes that's a little bit easier on your hands, just moving up and down the fretboard, having that that faded satin finish as well. And then there's also, like the Les Pauls, you've got a modern collection as well, so you can get those advanced electronics, the real slim neck profiles, and those locking tuners. And keep in mind, for further specs and for further choices, a deeper dive, of course, you can check out our SG buyer's guide on the channel. That link will also be posted in the description below. Again, this is a wide open range guitar. It could be for any style of player, anything from rock, country, blues. You can down tune with our bridges because there's no trim on this model or vibrola. So tuning's gonna be intact there, of course. Any style, any genre, you can't go wrong with a humbucker guitar. This is just the other classic here. So now onto something a little more classic here, the ES-335, right? Inception 1958, our hollow body guitar. What makes this different than a solid body guitar? You've got a big box in here, okay? So the sound is just running through here. It's just got a lot of room to move around and air in there. Creates a bigger sound, a little bit thicker and bigger on the tone, especially the low end, and creamier on the mids and the highs. Think anywhere from B.B. King to Dave Grohl. I mean, that's the range that you can cover with something like this. Light in weight, classic looks again with that binding on the neck and the body. And the humbuckers again with all the same controls, flexibility, and just really great to sit down with as well for that armrest, just for that perfect playing zone for the strumming. For more information on these guitars, and if you want to dive deeper, definitely check out our ES buyer's guide on the channel. And for those of you that are feeling a little adventurous out there, right? The Flying V. I mean, look at this thing. It's like an arrow pointing to the stratosphere, right? Inception 1958. Albert King. Slew of 70s rockers. I mean, made it through all the 80s metal, thanks to, Kirk Hammett and all the other metal players out there, of course. Glam rock. Man, Lenny Kravitz brings it back. Grace Potter. We got Nancy Wilson even sporting one. Just a classic style of a guitar here. Super awesome looks. Still get the humbucker thing. Controls, yeah, I know you're missing a knob here, but it's a little bit more, streamlined here. It's just 2 volumes and a master tone knob. So if you like things simple but super cool, this is your axe of choice here. I mean, look at that, just awesome. So something to think about if you just want to stand out or just go somewhere totally different and make a statement. So continuing with the outside of the box guitar shapes, the Explorer here, right? Coming from the early 50s, official launch date was the year 58. Again, something that just pushed the boundaries for us as guitar manufacturers. I mean, no one was doing something like this, right? Think of Clapton playing one of these. We had Ted Nugent playing one, The Edge, Metallica, just a wide variety of styles and genres and players over the years. An awesome alternative choice of a humbucker guitar, especially with the looks, stand out from the crowd. Definitely unique and has a styling and a presence all its own, right? A nice big chunk of mahogany here, 2 volumes and a simple tone control for the master on both pickups. 6 inline tuners there, really awesome. All genres of music are welcome to something like this. If you want something that's just super different, you want to stand out, this is the way to do it. And if you want more information on these guitars, we actually did an Explorer buyer's guide that's also on this channel. So real quick, before we go any further, all of this is available on our website. You can order from us direct. Those links are going to be in the description below at Gibson.com. Let's talk about P90s. Maybe you're not into humbuckers or you already have your humbucker offering covered. That's fine. Listen to this. Single coil pickups here. Slightly bigger, friendlier as you heard with those crunch tones. Now on our modern offerings, you do get coil splitting and advanced electronics to get you some of those sounds as well, and humbuckers on one instrument like I mentioned before, right? 1955 is the year of inception here. So a little fun fact here about the color, TV yellow, right? They made this color to basically help with the visual aspect of black and white TV back in the day. White was a little weird showing up on the screen, so this color really helped to be a little bit more pleasant for the viewing experience back then. Made famous, of course, by people like Keith Richards, Johnny Thunders. I mean, again, the single coil thing is fantastic for cleans. And just in the P90 format, just super rich and a lot bigger than what you would expect. Nice wraparound bridge here. Keeps things simple. There's a lot more resonance and sustain here because it's just one block of metal as opposed to the 2 pneumatic bridge and the hardtail, right? So more resonance, more sustain because the strings have less pieces to go through. But just super simple design, Les Paul style, the 4 controls there. And you do get to have that binding on the neck. Super lightweight and just a simple mahogany design without rosewood. Very awesome indeed. So real quick, before we go to something totally different, I just wanted to point out that we do offer P90s in a few other guitar versions here as well, including the SGs. So make sure, like I mentioned before, check out that SG buyer's guide to check these out in action. Let's keep moving. And now for something totally different. Mini humbuckers. I'm holding here the mighty Firebird. 1963 inception, right? A mini humbucker sounds like a humbucker, but it's kind of like a humbucker and a P90 together in the middle, okay? But more on the P90 side. The plus here is that you do not get the hum. So it's right in the middle. It still has a little bit of that twang. And again, no hum. Fantastic for the gainy stuff, right? Pushing the envelope at that time with the designs. I mean, look at this cool machine here with the Maestro Vibrola. Really awesome. Now, this is a custom shop model, and we'll speak a little bit more about the custom shop. We also have a custom shop buyer's guide Les Paul video that you can check out. A lot more goes into these custom shop models. They're smaller batch instruments, very period correct and vintage inspired to the T here. So really cool to see the 2 mini hums there. Nitro finish, of course. This one is a light aged Murphy Lab. And you've got the Maestro Vibrola there, which is really cool. Same controls here. You've got the 2 tones and 2 volumes. You've got the mahogany body, of course. What's really cool about a Firebird in general is neck through body. Now, the previous guitars the necks go to about here. It's set in nice and tight and then glued in. What's cool about a Firebird is, talk about ultimate sustain and resonance, right? And transfer of sound. This neck goes all the way down, okay? So it's just all connected nice. Oh, the checking on that is great. And then look at those cool banjo tuners. Really nice touch. Can't go wrong with something like this. And again, if you want to stand out and just do something totally different, you know, Johnny Winter comes to mind as one of the first people I think of, and Mike Campbell, and a bunch of other rockers and players out there. You can cover a lot of ground with the Firebird, believe it or not. It may look like it wants to lend itself to like a screaming stadium tour, but try it with some clean tones. You'll be super surprised. So the last guitar was a custom shop model, and you're probably wondering what the differences are between all these different collections that I keep talking about, right? So let's break it down. For Gibson, you've got the original collection, where we take our classic designs and we add a few modern attributes here and there to help them fit the needs of players today, right? And then in that same vein, there's the modern collection, where we take those classic designs and add some modern twists, like the coil splitting, the locking tuners, the advanced electronics, and the slimmer necks, etc., right? Now we get to custom shop after that, which was like the last guitar that I just played, the Firebird. The custom shop breaks down into two collections, historic and modern. Historic means historically accurate models. So we're building a 59 Les Paul exactly the way, or as close as possible to a way that a 59 Les Paul was made back in, you know, 59. That's gonna take more hands-on, that's gonna take higher premium materials, that's gonna take, you know, a lot more small batch procedures. It's more boutique in a way, right? Custom shop, right? Now we've got the modern take on that, which is those models built in the custom shop and, you know, applying those modern attributes like I talked about. Same level. Then we go to Murphy Lab. Murphy Lab, I don't really want you to think about it as a collection of guitars so much, although it is. It's more of a process and a technique that's applied to custom shop offerings, right? That's the aging techniques, that's the wear, that's the checking, that's the specialized aging lacquer. So if you want your custom shop, you know, guitar to look like it's been on the road for 50 years, or if it's just seen a little light wear or just been in a case its whole life, that's where you go to Murphy Lab stuff for. And then on top of that, which is really cool, we're gonna do a video on this soon actually, made to measure program. That's where you design your own custom shop guitar. Choice of color, you can take from the historic collection and the modern collection, and then you can decide if you wanna, you know, do the Murphy Lab aging or not, and you can create your own there in custom shop, right? How cool is that? And of course, you know, we wanna think about everybody out there. Remember Epiphone. You could still be a part of the club without breaking the bank, still get high quality instruments inspired by all the ones that you've seen today, right? Now, there's a buyer's guide as well on some of that stuff where we go from Epiphone all the way up to custom shop. So you can really see the differences in each level there. I mean, as a matter of fact, here's a custom shop inspired Epiphone Firebird. Pretty close to the one that I was playing just now. Really awesome as well. So in conclusion, we hope that you've figured out by now which Gibson is best for you. Leave a comment below on what you decided on, and thanks for watching.